All right, Hershey podcast time. Who are you?
January Hershey.
Good to meet you.
19 years ago.
Tell everyone about yourself.
Stop it. Introduce yourself.
I am Brandon.
I think most people listening at this point kind of know that, though.
Yeah, they do.
Well, welcome to the Hershey podcast. Once again, we're getting into, what is this, episode
19.
19. So we're almost to episode 20. So I guess we're kind of serious about this.
I guess
we'll keep doing it.
people keep listening, so
I know. I love it.
I guess they like to hear what we have to say.
I feel like people get me more. And I feel like the conversations I have with people are a little bit different, maybe a little more personal, because they know that I'm not just some influencer. Isn't that the word for it now?
Social media influencer.
It used to be blogger, now it's influencer, and I'm over here like I'm just January Hershey. Hi.
So I guess would I be a memer?
You're a memer for sure.
Memer.
Memer. That's good. You know what? You have to change your bio now.
Yep.
To say memer.
Official memer of the Hershey podcast.
That is freaking awesome. Oh my gosh.
This will be a meme.
Well, you had a fit of giggles earlier tonight.
Oh my God.
So our 6-year-old, who is aptly named the Bull, walked into the bedroom when we were getting the 3-year-old ready and said, do you know where the baby wipes are? My nose is bleeding. I have no idea why. And I looked at him and I said, bull crap, it's bleeding because you're picking your nose. Go get a baby wipe out in the family room. And he looked at you and he looked at me and he started cracking up because I totally called him on it. So yeah,
But happened. That's not the funny part.
Oh, what's the funny part?
He walked away. He left the room and you said,
I said, I call bullshit. Get out of here. But I said that just to you. Oh my goodness.
That's what was so funny though.
Sometimes I think, we can't even make stuff up, you know? I mean, there's 8 people living in a home. We live in an apartment, but still in a home together. And some days I'm just like, there needs to be cameras in our house because we couldn't even make it up. It's wild. Always an adventure for sure. So any updates that you want to announce?
Well, actually, no, it's a sale that we're having. It's buy one, get one half off of the unicorn and dad shirts, the You Do You Boo shirts, and the I Don't Babysit a Parent shirts. Buy one, get one free, or get one half off, not free.
You know, that's probably my fault because I'm the one that kept doing that.
Yeah, you did.
I'm like, buy one, get one. And you kept saying, no, January. No, we're not giving away shirts for free because we don't get them for free.
Now, it's only those 2 shirts, though. So you could buy a unicorn and a dad shirt, or you could buy a dad shirt and a dad shirt, or you could buy a unicorn shirt and a unicorn shirt.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yes.
Anyways, all of the orders from Black Friday have been packaged up and shipped out. And the update announcement I wanted to make was our events this year. The Makeup Find Your Village gathering in San Diego has been sold out. But I may have just gone in and added 4 tickets, literally 4. So if you are wanting to come to the San Diego Find Your Village gathering in 2 weeks, go grab 1 or 2 of those 4 tickets. Because I can't open anymore due to space at the venue. Nashville has been sold out for quite some time as well.
Yes,
and I may have gone in and opened up 4 tickets as well. I was sneaky, but I haven't announced this anywhere. So if you want to go to either one of those, go grab those because I have not announced this. I just kind of slyly opened them in case somebody was hoping to get one. Stillwater, Oklahoma is still on, and there are 7 tickets remaining for that. And Portland, Maine, there are only 6 tickets now remaining for that one.
Oh, wow.
And Ottawa, there's 12, and we need to fill that up to make it happen. So if you are in that area of Canada at all, please share. And then our conferences, because we're switching back to conferences. The Sydney, Australia conference, we have a venue. We're finalizing details. We're going to share the venue. So the last 30 tickets that are available is it, because then we'll be at capacity. So if you are wanting to come to our first ever Australia conference, get a ticket. And the VIP, which is going to be in the breakfast, coffee, henna, unicorn hugs, and a gift bag with myself in Sydney. There's only 30 spots available in the VIP, and there's 25 left. We just opened them last night. And those those, oh gosh, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about actually being in Sydney. So I got distracted. Like, I cannot believe I'm going to Australia. Like, that's just...
You are.
Incredible. And I just need to see somebody before we go so they can give me some really good drugs to put me out on the airplane, because I just, wow. No, but I am so excited about that. I'm going to be booking all my travel here really soon. And that's one of those things where I just jumped in and said, it's time, So we'll talk about...
It's exciting.
Yeah, I'll talk about that more. And then Portland, Oregon, we had to make a U.S. conference in Portland. I've been to Portland every year for this will be the fifth year.
Fifth year.
I've been to Portland the last 5. Yeah, this will be the fifth year. I've gone to Portland every single year. So our U.S. conference this year is naturally in Portland, and that's about half full already. And that's not till September. So grab your tickets if you're anywhere in the Pacific Northwest so you can come to that.
Did you mention Louisville?
Louisville, Kentucky. I added on after a thread on Facebook, and a whole bunch of people commented and said they wanted me to come. At this point, it's probably going to be switched to a Find Your Village gathering setting, so a little bit smaller and intimate, because it's just not filling up enough to make it a big conference. And so people ask me a lot of times differences between Find Your Village and the Birth Out Fear conferences. And Find Your Village is just smaller, more intimate, no or less vendors, and no other guest speakers or anything like that. The conference is full day. Usually there's a VIP added. There's more vendors. There's more stuff in like the gift bags. Sometimes I have guest speakers. So it's just it's more involved. And we always have the harmony circles at the conferences, and we have them at the Find Your Village gatherings sometimes, just depending on space and the amount of attendees. So I'm phasing out of the Find Your Village gatherings, just going back to the conferences so I can put all that energy and time that I was using traveling to 30 plus events the last 2 years into just the conferences, plus the other projects we keep dropping hints about. And then today on my Instagram, you guys, I'm not on Facebook. I've decided in 2018 I'm not going to be posting on Facebook. I need a break from Facebook. It's long overdue. So if you're not on Facebook, keep checking in with the podcast. Get on Instagram if you're not on there. And anyways, today on my stories on Instagram, I posted about a webinar idea, because the Find Your Village gatherings is amazing. I love meeting people in person. There's actually nothing else like it. It's what's kept me going with social media, to be perfectly honest. But I can't keep traveling like that. It's just not good for my mental or physical health. So we had an idea a few months ago. Actually, we were sitting around with my grandparents talking about this stuff, because they travel a lot for their work too. And we were all talking about it and brainstorming, and we all started discussing webinars and doing things virtually. We live in an age of technology and social media. And so I'm going to be doing that, and I'll be sharing more about that on Instagram in the next few days. So stay tuned for that, because that is going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually really excited about it.
Yeah, it is very exciting.
Yeah, that's all my announcements. I had way more there than I had intended, but apparently I had a lot to say about that stuff.
You certainly did.
There's a lot of updates. It's really hard posting them on social media because they get suppressed. If you mention a date, if you mention a day, if you mention the name of a city or state, if you mention, tickets, if you mention a link, it gets suppressed. The logarithms, it gets suppressed on Instagram now too, not just on Facebook. So the stories help, but it is a little bit harder to get this information to people. I have people that will tell me 2 weeks after I've been to a city, well, come here, come where I live. And I'm like, I was literally just there 2 weeks ago. And they're like, I never saw. I'm like, oh my God. So
I didn't know.
It's not from a lack of me sharing like everywhere I can. So, check in on the websites and check in on my stories. And, I've been doing a highlight story on Birth Without Fear Instagram and my Instagram, January Harshey, about events, and I will about these webinars. But yeah, so it's not easy to get this information out there. So that's
people can go and turn on post notifications though. So when you do post,
that's true.
They can get them. So
that's true.
If you didn't know about that, go check on your, I guess.
I don't even know where it is.
Bio page.
I guess.
Little 3 dots up in the top right corner.
I don't even talk about that, but yes, that's true. Or if you like somebody's stuff a lot, it'll start showing up in your newsfeed more too.
Right.
So yeah, just engaging. But, this actually kind of takes us into our topic for tonight. We want to talk about approaching social media with self-care in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really important topic to me. I talk about this a lot when I talk about self-care, and I'm actually going to be talking about this more in depth on the webinars that we're going to be doing. But self-care, there's so many elements to it. There's so many layers to it. It's different for everyone. And same with self-love. It's not just physical health, it's also mental health. So there's so many different things we can talk about when it comes to self-love and self-care. So we're going to get specific and talk about self-care and social media. Right? So
Absolutely.
Do you have any thoughts on that before I just start going 100 miles an hour?
Well, yeah, I was on Facebook for a number of years. I think first got it in 2008. One of my friends I went to chiropractic school with mentioned it, and I got on and just kind of went from there. I created a real popular chiropractic blog when I was in school and got a little bit of notoriety from that, and I kind of ran with all of that social media world in a chiropractic sense. And it got to my head a little bit. I got to be one of those people that was always getting into Facebook arguments. And there were times when I would probably consider myself a troll, for sure. I have a bit of that in my personality just as it is, naturally.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I mean, if I really want to, I could be a real life troll. But, I try to be a nice guy and live an ethical life and teach my kids good morals. So
is this what trolls tell themselves?
This is what trolls tell themselves to feel better. I'm not a troll. I'm not a troll. I'm not a troll. Screw it. I'm a troll.
No. So what?
No, not really. I found myself getting more and more into that. And especially in chiropractic, there are many debates among chiropractors and chiropractic groups on Facebook, just as I'm sure there is in other professions, but it got really crazy. And in 2012, during the election year when Obama was running against Mitt Romney, the only posts I saw on Facebook were anti-Obama posts, anti-vaccination posts, and other chiropractors arguing with each other. That was all on my news feed, and I felt like it was just messing with my mind to a level that I couldn't deal with. It was making me crazy.
That's your favorite word.
Say in the past episodes, I think episode 2 or 3, but it was really bad. So I got off Facebook completely. I had enough. I'm like, I'm done, and it was great. I didn't think about it. And then a few years later, for some reason, I decided to get back on, but I created a new account. Because my old Facebook account, I think I had like 2,000 friends or something ridiculous.
Were they really your friends?
No. I think 99% of them I'd never met in real life, and that whole thing. So I created this new account, and I was only going to accept people as friends that I've met in real life. Over time, that kind of got out of hand, and then 2016, another election year, probably the most argumentative, negative election year I can remember in my life, maybe in the history of our country, and it was getting bad on Facebook. I felt like my anxiety was spiking to a whole new level, and with the mental health challenges I was already going through and not realizing at the time, it was getting bad. So finally, I just had to cut it down. Like everything in the current events on Facebook was anti-Trump stuff. Trump's gonna do this, gonna do that. This is gonna happen. That's gonna happen. I mean, it was just horribly negative news, and it makes you negative yourself. It makes you fearful. It makes you scared. It gives you anxiety. It was bad. So I got a Facebook, and I have completely sworn it off. Haven't even thought about it. And
I know a lot of people that have now.
Yeah, I do too.
More common.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Facebook just breeds that negativity and that argumentative behavior. And
yeah, I can post a picture on Instagram and post the same picture to Facebook, and on Instagram it's all positive, and on Facebook it becomes like the end of the world debate.
Oh yeah, if I posted the memes that I make to Facebook, I'd probably get reported, and they're not even that bad. Like I make sure that I'm not like offending anyone.
It is set up in a way to breed negativity. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's garbage.
So that's your experience with self-care and social media.
Yeah, and especially with Facebook, just get the hell off of it.
The end. end. I hope you enjoyed our episode. Until next time.
No, but seriously, look at all the celebrities, whether they're sports figures, movie stars, whoever they may be. They're on Twitter mostly or on Instagram. Their Facebook page is just one of those things where it used to be where everyone had a website. Well, now everyone has a Facebook page.
Right.
And it's like a placeholder for your existence for whatever field you're in.
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. I think there's way more interaction with people on Instagram and Twitter, especially Twitter. I mean, if you want to get someone's attention, that's probably the best way to do it.
Except me, because I never sign into mine.
Me neither. I think I got on Twitter 2 months ago.
I think you bring up a good point. And I always say, I don't tell people to get off of Facebook or get off of Instagram. I know for some people, the only place they can find a support group with other people who understand what they're going through might be on Facebook, or that's how they stay in touch with family that they want to stay in touch with. So I think, if you can't just walk away from it, which might be actually the answer for some of you listening, but for those of you who that's not the answer, you can be more mindful with it. You brought up, we were talking about your friends list, and how many of the people on your friends list are really your friends? If you walked away from Facebook for the next 30 days, how many out of your 300 or 3,000 friends, air quote friends there, would reach out to you in another way, would text you, would call you, would try to get a hold of you, would go look at your Instagram or Snapchat or whatever and just say, hey girl, you doing okay? Or, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Or is everything all right? I haven't, whatever. Most of the time people tell me on average that they can count maybe 3 people.
Wow.
Those are your friends.
Yeah.
Those are your tribe, your village, your people. So instead of putting your energy into cultivating and loving those people and those relationships, we're putting our energy out for these 300 or 3,000 other people constantly. And these people truly do not care about you. Let's be real. Would they bring you a coffee when you're having a hard day? Would they send you a gift card when you're having a hard time? Would they call you on the phone and listen to you when you're dealing with anxiety or you have the loss of a loved one? Or is it just convenient for them to give you a comment with a parentheses hug? Now, y'all, I don't know if you've heard me speak, but I hate parenthesis hugs. When somebody gets on, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, Jackie. Hugs, parentheses, parentheses, parentheses. Girl, that did not make me feel better. That did nothing for me. Reading a hug is not the same as getting a hug. He's cracking up.
It took me forever to figure out the hugs and kisses thing. I'm like, what is this XOXO shit?
Yeah. Well,
And then you actually explain. You're like, yeah, it's hugs and kisses. I'm like, what? I don't even understand.
So it's not the same thing as walking up to somebody and putting your arms around them, embracing them, rubbing their back with your hand, just telling them quietly, this is shitty, or this is going to be okay, or I am here for you, and holding them and letting just that oxytocin release. Like, just that is a hug. Reading a hug and a comment on Facebook is not going to do shit for you. Nothing. Actually, I feel like it can make you feel more alone. Honestly, it can make you feel more alone. So maybe instead of looking for that support from these people who are only friends with you because you both cloth diaper, or because, you both posted a similar article, whatever, or you went to junior high with them and you don't even really remember them. You didn't like them then. So I don't know why you're friends with them on Facebook now. But calling someone who has your back, a mom, a sister, a friend, a neighbor, and just being like, oh my gosh. Or if it's someone local, like, hey, you want to grab Starbucks and get the kids together and let them just like trash the house and we can just talk over our frappuccinos. That's going to do way more for you and for your mental health in your life than vague booking and getting parenthesis hugs, So
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like I said, I don't tell people to just get off social media. I know that for a lot of people, that's the only place maybe you can find some support, and that's very valuable. But don't let it replace all of your real life interactions, because that's taking it the other direction, that's taking you away from some good that you can have in your life. So be mindful with your social media. Are you letting it replace your real life interactions? Are you friends with everybody because you feel you have to be friends with everybody? I don't know what the hell that is. I don't understand this. Like, you know what? I didn't like you in high school. I don't like you now. I don't want you all up in my business. You used to spread rumors about me or make fun of me or whatever. Like, you don't need to be in my life and knowing what I'm sharing or whatnot. And I don't have to share everything either, right? You can make your stuff private. We don't have to keep our social media as public. I have a private Instagram. I think I have 25 people on there or something, people that I know or family or whatnot. So, you can make your stuff private. If it would cause you too much drama to unfriend your mother-in-law or sister-in-law on Facebook, you can unfollow them so you never see any of their posts and they'll never know. Right?
That's something that is always been on my mind. It's you're friends with someone on Facebook. This is the internet. It's not real life.
No.
And if you unfriend them, it's taken as this offensive act of aggression that can carry over into real life and affect you in that way. It's the most ridiculous phenomenon to me.
Let me give an example of this. I have the opposite way. This goes both ways. I have a friend who we talk, we've worked together. She's spoken at conferences of mine and we've collaborated on stuff together. And I love her. I admire her. I think she's amazing. She is a hunter. She hunts, she fishes, she hunts, all that. I am vegan. So when she's posting stories of step by step on what she does with her elk that she kills or her fish that she, whatever, I really don't want to see that. Like, I really don't want to see that. Now, I do not have to be the kind of person that goes and gets offended and leaves rude comments or whatnot. No, I just simply unfollowed. And then we were sitting together, actually in Vancouver, and we were having a drink together. And I said, I unfollowed your Instagram, right? She's like, no, you didn't. Why? And I told her, well, I'm vegan and you're not. And she was like, she took a minute. She kind of looked up and she's like, oh yeah, you probably didn't want to see that. I was like, no, but it's not the end all be all of our friendship. It's a platform. It's not like Instagram doesn't determine my relationship with you. Like, you're still sitting here with me in Canada and we're going to, do a conference together tomorrow. I don't have to follow you on Instagram to be your friend. I can text you anytime, And, we talked about that for a little while because yeah, that's so true. So it goes both ways. Like, these are platforms. These are a way to connect to people, but these are not the end all be all of your relationships with people, so don't make them that. And this goes to the next thing I was going to say. So be mindful, make your stuff private, unfollow or unfriend, but also unfollow every account on Instagram, on Facebook that makes you feel like you need to be somebody else, makes you feel less than, or gives you anxiety, makes you feel any negative thoughts at all. Yes, on one hand, we need to make sure we are in a good enough place that we're not projecting our feelings on other people when we see it. Like, if I'm seeing somebody with this really beautiful picture and with their kids and it's all this and all their kids are matching and I start sitting there and I'm judging her, that's my own crap. That's me feeling insecure that I'm not doing enough for my kids, right? So I need to work on that. However, if I'm following something that is constantly making me feel bad or like I'm competing or negative or brings me down or gives me anxiety, I have the power to click unfollow. I have the power to click block. So we can, this is what I talk about when I say approach social media with self-care in mind. Self-care also includes your mental health. So if your mental health is suffering from social media or the things you're watching or following, the only person that has the power to control that is you. So unfollow, walk away, block, whatever you need to do to create a much more peaceful and positive and uplifting social media experience. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. I think on Instagram I follow, this is a little high for me, but I think I'm following 44 accounts. And most of the time when I'll check other accounts, they're following many more than that, hundreds if not thousands.
I don't know how people do that.
And I literally only follow the ones that I am truly interested in what's going on. Mm-hmm. Probably a quarter of them are all fail accounts, fail video accounts.
You do find joy in other people's suffering. I have noticed.
You
are a troll.
I love watching fail videos. Those are just so funny.
You are a memer troll.
A memer troll.
That's what I'm calling you from now on, a memer troll.
But there's something satisfying about seeing some stupid teenage kid on his surfboard on the corner of his roof acting like he's cool, and then he loses his balance and falls off and completely destroys the awning of his patio, and then his dad yells at him. I mean, that's funny.
This is where you and I differ. I'm like, who's raising that child? Do they get enough of this and that? Do they need more love? Are they okay?
I'm thinking, wow, this kid is an idiot, and
that's what you get.
Yeah. That's what you get.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, that's number 4. Her Cuddlebug. She used to say that all the time when she was younger. She's like, "That's what you get."
That's what you get. She's so cute. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I follow stuff like that. For a while, I was following Conor McGregor. And all his posts got into, he's showing off his Gucci shoes or his $100,000 Rolex watch or his,
more his power to him, right?
$200,000 mink fur coat. I just don't care. I don't care about that stuff. So it was interesting to me around when he was fighting Floyd Mayweather, but that's an example of when
you can follow and unfollow people as often as you want.
Yeah,
that's okay. I tell people, I'm included in this. If I post stuff that makes you feel bad about yourself, unfollow me. I promise you, I will survive unfollowings. People survive them.
They do.
Yeah, you don't.
I have survived a few.
Yeah, well, you actually try to get people to unfollow you, so that's different.
True. I'll get waves of people following me for my memes, and I'll post some really irreverent,
offensive, something I could never get away with posting.
Church or religion meme, and then immediately 10 to 15 people unfollow me.
He's like, yes, I weeded them out.
I sometimes got to weed them out,
Yeah, people who are going to get offended and cause you problems.
You got to see who's serious about my humor.
You got to see who can handle a troll memer. That's what it is. Okay, so unfollow, be mindful, and protect your space. Social media is an amazing tool. It's an amazing way to communicate. We all can have a platform now. I prefer when people obviously use that for good, but we need to be mindful about it. When I started speaking at events over 5 years ago, I would ask a room of, let's say, 100 people, how many people here, deal with postpartum depression, and a lot of hands would go up, and how many people here deal with anxiety, and maybe 3 to 5 hands would go up. Now, when I'm in a room of 50 people or so, I'll ask how many people here deal with anxiety, and about 40 hands go up. Now, I think there's probably a lot of reasons for that. The top 2 reasons I personally feel, and no, I don't have a double-blind study for this. It's not published anywhere. So take it for what it's worth. But
we need a works cited.
My top 2 reasons I think the change is so quickly over the last few years is, the first one is I think that we're more comfortable speaking up and raising our hand in a room full of people saying, yeah, me too, I have anxiety, or I deal with this, or I deal with that. We've become more open about these conversations. But the bigger factor, I think, is social media. Our brains can only handle so much. We're all dealing with life stuff. We're dealing with our own mental health, physical health, kids, jobs, finances, world news, in-laws, parents, loss of a loved one. I mean, I could go on and on and on, the amount of things that we are all dealing with in our own personal lives with our own immediate and extended families and our jobs and whatnot. And then we take in the news. I don't watch the news, but sometimes even at the airport, I can't get away from it. I'll have to put on my headphones and walk away where there's not a TV.
Or at the gym.
Oh, that's so frustrating.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure not to, look at it as much as possible, but you still take some stuff and you can't help it. You just see something or hear something. And then we have social media where everyone's posting everything they think everyone else needs to be educated on. And then everybody gets on and they pick a side and they debate over it. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen because no one's changing anyone's minds. You can share information. You can share the good that you're doing and let people see that example. And then they might ask, I wonder if that would help me, or I wonder if that's something I should look into. And then they can look into it more. When you start debating and just spitting venom, people's walls and defenses go up. They're not going to hear shit that you have to say anyway. So it's ridiculous. But I lost my train of thought. I started thinking about venom and news media. Oh yeah, I remember now. So we're taking all of this in on top of our own personal things that we're dealing with, our own trials on our journey. It's too much. When you lay your head down at night and you go to sleep, like, I don't think our brains, like I said, I don't have a study for this. I'm sure someone's done one or is working on one. Our brains can't process it. It's just common sense. I don't need a study for this. This is just common sense. How is your brain supposed to filter through everything it's taking in on social media, all these debates, all this fighting? And you know what's so wild about it, you guys, is it's virtual reality in a way. We can shut it down and walk away and go and make cookies and hang out with our kids and put on Moana, and that's your reality. Or you can constantly be checking in on these apps and constantly checking in on these debates and constantly looking on your Explore page and comparing, with other people and how they're living their lives. And now you have brought that into your space, into your home. So what are you bringing into your home? What are you bringing into your brain space? What are you bringing into your heart, into your mind? If you're having an increase of anxiety, start there. Start with being more mindful. Start with unfollowing. Start with unfriending. Start with, shutting that down. Start with walking away and having a detox for a while. I've posted before an image that says, "Got anxiety? Get off social media." And it's so ironic because people are reading this post on social media. So it's kind of funny. And, I'm just going to read a little bit of this to you guys. But on it, I mentioned how I don't tell people to get off social media completely because I know the struggle in reality. But the increase of people who now deal with anxiety as well as the severity of it is definitely affected by social media. It's undeniable. This virtual reality where we take in everyone's opinions, debates, hate, their problems and moods is literally too much for our beautiful brains to process. It's overwhelming. We have enough to deal with already in our own lives. If you use social media for business, post and walk away. Put your phones down. You have that power. You can choose to go and spend time with your kids, write in a journal, meditate, go for a walk, start a new show or a book, go back to school, volunteer, exercise. Just spend time that you do on social media on you instead. When people say, "I don't have time," walk away from social media for a while. And all of a sudden you realize like, oh, I have so much time. I'm kind of bored. What should I do? That's right.
Have sex.
Yes. I love you. Oh my gosh. So do something that lights your soul on fire. Like
have sex.
Something that makes you smile. Like
having sex.
Makes you happy. Like
having sex.
Or grounds you.
Like having sex.
Orgasm without fear, baby. That was not in the post. That's just the addition from our meme troller.
Yes.
So I'm not saying that your struggle with anxiety isn't justified or only because of social media. I'm just saying that social media can make it worse. I really, truly believe that sleep and social media are two huge factors when it comes to anxiety, which I know many of you listening are like, oh yeah, great. So not only, okay, social media, but then sleep. Like, I know how ironic that is to say to parents. I get it. I know that that's a struggle. So.
Well, let me add one more thing into that equation. You mentioned social media and you mentioned sleep. How many of you listening, and I'm included in that, January's included in that, how many of you listening are scrolling through your news feeds on your phone in bed as you're trying to wind down to go to sleep? Well, the problem is phones, electronics are all blue light, and blue light stimulates your brain. So if you're laying there in bed scrolling through your news feed, through all this social media, all the news, all this negative stuff, not only are you putting that in your mind, but you're also wiring your brain, and it can't calm down, and you're not going to be able to sleep for 2 to 3 hours. I know this from personal experience, like heavily.
Right.
And I had to really change some of my nighttime habits, and I do everything I can not to get on my phone or do anything like that before bed. I know there are types of glasses you can get with lenses that will block out blue light that you can use when you're looking at electronics at night, but
Or you could just
they just look really
they
look really nerdy. So
is that true? I have not seen
this.
Yeah.
You
That's
got
funny.
blue light blockers, or I mean, if you have sunglasses or blue light blockers, you can wear your sunglasses.
Like the Wall-E movie. It's like, or you could just put down your electronics for a little bit.
You can put it down, watch a movie. For some reason, for me, when we watch a movie, it doesn't have the same effect on my brain. I don't.
Well, you're just getting into one story. You're not constantly reading stuff and looking at images. Like it's like this fast. It's such a fast thing. It's instant gratification. Mm-hmm. People don't even want to stop to read a post. They just want the quote to be quick or the post to be quick, So when you sit down and watch a movie, that's going to be a little bit different.
Well, and you're farther away from the screen. And like you said, it's a story you're focusing on. Whereas when you're looking at a handheld device, a phone or iPad, something like that, iPod, it's a mental, emotional, and neural stimulation. And good luck getting to sleep before 3 a.m. Mm-hmm. If you're doing that kind of thing. So if you're struggling with sleep and insomnia and anxiety and you're on your phone a lot before bed, try not being on your phone before bed. Try putting it away earlier in the night and see if that helps. Mm-hmm. It helped me. I mean, I had other things I had to change in my life as well, but that is definitely an ingredient that helped the overall recipe that I need for my life.
Yeah. Well, as somebody who has run quite a few social media accounts for a while, especially with Birth Without Fear, don't forget dads, take back postpartum. I have high expectations of people, or maybe I just expect people to treat me the way I treat them. I would never go to anyone else's social media space. I would never go to anybody else's home and tear them down. If I come to your Instagram or your Facebook, it's going to be to leave a nice uplifting comment. So when people come to me, to my platform, to my space, to my, my home and say something rude to me or want to debate with me or want to just play devil's advocate just because that seems to be what people want to do sometimes, I don't have time for it. Like, I don't want it. Everybody can have a platform now. So you go and do it on yours. And if you want to talk about me, that's fine. Just make sure you spell my name right and tag me properly. Okay. Because this is my space. This is my platform. And what I've noticed is that over the years of doing this, of people know that if they share their story on Birth Without Fear, that I'm not going to allow others to tear them down, whether they had a home birth, a cesarean birth, a VBAC, whatever kind of birth they've had. I am not going to allow anyone else to tear you down for your choices or your situation or your journey or your experience. That is not the case on most social media platforms. And I've noticed that the communities on these platforms and these movements everyone treats each other better because of that. So you set the tone for, your social media. You set the tone for how mindful you're being, what you'll tolerate, what you're putting out there. I see plenty of accounts where people are posting in a way to stir the pot. And I used to be that way, to create drama, to get people to comment, to get more attention. And I'm telling you guys, I don't know if it's because I'm turning 39, and I think the closer we get to 40, I think when we turn 35, especially as women, we get a lot more confident. We find our voice, and damn it, we want everyone to know. By the time you're getting close,
you get hornier too.
Stop it! Oh my gosh, I know what's on your mind. Good grief! When we get closer to 40, I think we're confident. We start getting confident in a different level. We get confident that isn't about ego. It's about just, hey, I'm going to share this and I'm not really looking for your approval one way or the other. This has helped me, so I'm going to share it if it helps you. Something that I've done is I've taken things a little bit further this week on my social media, and I've been turning off comments. And this has been a really interesting experience because, first of all, I find it kind of funny or ridiculous that this is like even a conversation that I'm having in my life right now. Of how big of a deal is it to turn comments on or off on your social media? But it is what it is. When I have posted a few things, like I posted a same-sex couple on Don't Forget Dads recently. I posted something else on Birth Without Fear recently. I can't remember which post. And then I've had a few comments on my social media recently that I've had to moderate or I've had to deal with, or I've had to, and don't forget dads on that one post. I blocked almost 30 people that day.
Well, it was consuming you that day too.
Yeah. And so it took up like my whole day having to check in to make sure that I was protecting that space for these dads, right? Because I would do that for any other dad that I posted their photo for. And something that I love about Instagram is you can turn off comments on individual posts. And so I started practicing that this week. And let me tell you what, this last year in 2017, I let go a lot of my ego thinking, and it's hard to see it. It's hard to admit it. And it's just a lot of self-awareness is needed. Turning off comments on my social media has been another layer of that, because it's really saying, hey, I want to share this with you because I think it will inspire you, or I think it might help you, or this is what I have going on in my life. And I don't need the approval of others. Now, don't get me wrong. When you guys comment positive stuff, like, thank you. My village online is so supportive and so phenomenal, and I'm incredibly grateful. But there's something peaceful about sharing a quote or a photo and then everyone just reading it, taking it in, and then digesting it on your own. And then you can take it or leave it. Take what you want from it, leave what you don't want from it. And none of us need to be taking in everyone else's thoughts on it. We can just take in what it is. And I have found it to be more peaceful. And so I posted yesterday a poll on my story asking if it was driving people crazy or if people liked that it was different. And I was surprised that about 2/3 of people said it's nice, it's different, because no one does this. No one turns off their comments, because the more people comment on your posts, the better it gets seen. And then the more followers you get and blah, blah, blah. Like that's a whole other podcast on how to handle social media marketing. I've been doing it for years, and I've been building social media with authenticity and a very engaged, loving community in these places. So no, Birth That Fear might not have 1 million followers on one account, but it's a very engaged, beautiful community. And so then to just turn off comments, it goes against everything I feel I should be doing with my social media, but it's teaching me a lot of things right now, and I'll have to share more later. I don't know how long I'm going to do it for. Maybe forever, maybe all year.
Well, what it does is it gives you all of the control.
Yeah.
And so if you post something and you have 64 comments and 61 or 62 of them are great and praising you and saying how wonderful you are, and then, you got one who's Susan, the tired mom in Kansas who's calling out about something stupid that has nothing to do with anything, that's going to kind of gnaw at you a little bit. And you have no control over not seeing that because it was there. You can go and block it, you can go delete it, but you still saw it. It still came into your consciousness.
Right.
Whereas you turn off the comments, you're not seeing the bad, you're not seeing the good, you're just
putting
posting.
out good.
You're just putting out
and
good.
It stays good.
You're putting out what you want, and you're taking in what you want, which is nothing. Really, I mean,
it's putting out good, and then no one is able to change the intention of it. And I think you might have just offended Susans and people that live in Kansas everywhere. So
well, I toned it down because you wanted me to be polite.
If any of you are named Susan or live in Kansas, we love you. Those were just random examples that he chose.
I'm sorry. Let me use the name Gertrude or Bertha because no one has those names.
From Unicorn Alasia.
Had your kids, had your wife, and had your husband.
You need to be more aware of what you're saying in this day and age, but on the other hand, sometimes it's okay to make a joke and try and be funny.
You bring up a good point though, that I can share something and then I just put out that good and then it just stays that way. And the other thing that you brought up that I want to take a little bit further is when somebody named whatever from wherever makes a rude comment because they're tired or they just came off a Facebook debate and so they're bringing that now into my space.
Yeah, that's true.
Or they have not worked through whatever emotions they have that are being brought up from seeing or reading, whatever it is. It's a knee-jerk reaction to make a comment. most of the time, someone who makes a comment like that is not going to take the time to go look up my email or send me a message or email that to me. This is just people, we all just do these knee-jerk reactions in our comments on social media. And so when you take that comments away and it gives people like a few minutes or a few hours to think about it, they're probably not going to respond the same way. Or if they are, it might be a little bit calmer or nicer or well thought out, and I love having engaging conversations, but that's hard to do when everyone's just having knee-jerk reaction comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
I posted a thing one time that said, be kind, you never know how many times a mom got up last night, which is so true. How many times a parent got up last night, you just don't know. But I took it further and said, don't be an asshole. And I'm also going to say on the other side, if you're the tired mom, you need to be nice too, because we get on social media and spit daggers out of our beautiful bloodshot eyes instead of practicing self-care, right? So, if you're the tired mom or you're the tired dad, don't get on social media and start taking in all this negativity, letting your anxiety build, and then take it out on somebody else when it probably has nothing to do with them. And it has to do with the fact that your child is teething, and teething is an asshole, or you're arguing with your partner, or you're dealing with whatever stress you're dealing with, and now you're just taking it out on someone who was just posting a quote because it resonated with them and it helped them, So I think it's important for us to practice self-care before we get on social media. How many of us roll out of bed and get on our phones right away before you've even peed, before you've made your coffee or your tea, before you've taken 5 minutes to just think about your dreams that you had. We're just getting on social media right away. Again, our brains are already overwhelmed, and then we're just right away putting more into our brains, and this is something that I struggle with too. This is something I have to work on a lot, and I catch myself, doing this as well. And there's a few things I do when I catch myself getting kind of further and further away from practicing self-care before getting on social media. And one thing is I put all my social media files in a folder on my phone screen, and I title self-care first on it, so that when I go to click it, I see self-care first, and it's basically like January giving January a little bitch slap and saying, girl, no, self-care first. Stop it.
You didn't.
Yeah, because you just it's so automatic. It's so automatic. It's habitual to pick up and just click on whatever. So I do that. Another thing I do is I do love reading on my Kindle app. But sometimes when I'm finding myself just checking in on other things too much, and you can put your phone in airplane mode, turn off notifications. I do all that sometimes too, but sometimes it just isn't enough when we're really being addicted to social media. And so I'll buy actual books, if you can believe it, and
what?
and read books off of my Kindle app, even though I love the Kindle app. So, find things that you can do away from your devices and away from your phones, and practice self-care first.
Are those the things that have pages?
They smell and feel so good. I love them.
Huh.
I love it.
I've heard of those.
Yeah, have you? So I think
that's actually something that I changed a few years ago. Is I was reading a bunch of books on the Kindle app and before bed, and I couldn't sleep for a couple hours every night. And finally, I stopped. I deleted the Kindle app off my phone. So for the last few years, I've just gone back to reading books the normal way,
the old-fashioned
way. And I have read a ton in the past few years, and it's way more fun. And it puts you to sleep.
Yeah,
when you do it right before
bed. It calms
bed.
your mind, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I have my little battery-operated candle by the bed, and so I'm already having to strain my aging eyes by reading as it is, and then get tired on top of that. It's great. It's perfect.
I think that I've covered everything I want to when it comes. I'm sure I could say a lot more, but with social media and self-care, this is one of those things where you do you. Protect your space on social media as much as you protect your home, and share what you want to share, follow who you want to follow, be part of what you want to be part of, and walk away from the rest, because at the end of the day, like, there's only so much that we can handle and that we can we can take in.
Yeah, you mentioned the knee-jerk reaction, people again on a Facebook debate, and then coming on over and commenting something on Instagram. And I would just say that with Facebook, if you needed to stay in touch with close family or close friends, that is one thing. But I would personally say to do what you can to keep Facebook at a distance as much as possible, because it really is a breeding ground for the worst in all of us. I mean, it really does bring out the troll in all of us. We're all guilty of it on Facebook, and it's almost like it's like this frenzy, this feeding frenzy of just negativity, and you get into this online mob mentality, and then you go to other Facebook pages, or you go to Instagram or Twitter, and then you're continuing on because you got that part of your brain all riled up. It can be a little bit much. So,
and then you're telling your child to be quiet and not show you the drawing they just drew because you're involved in some stupid debate.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we've all been guilty of that.
Yep.
I will say that for those of you that are thinking, yeah, but I need Facebook for my business. Actually, you don't.
You don't. I promise you.
You don't. And if Instagram had been the platform it is now, or even the last few years when I got on Instagram, I would have never started Facebook. I might have placeholder pages, like you said, but I would have grown everything on Instagram from the beginning, or I love Snapchat, but that's a whole other thing. It drains my battery on my phone.
Well, how many times does someone hand you a business card, or you go to some company's website and say, find us on Facebook? Are you really going to find them on Facebook? Are you going to really look at their posts and comment, wow, that's a beautiful whatever it is? I mean, no, you're not.
Maybe some people will. I won't. You won't.
No,
I won't. I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
The first place I look for people's stuff is on Instagram, because I want them to be there. Because Instagram gives you a little bit more control over your space of making things private. Like if I ban somebody on Facebook, they can't comment, but they can still see everything. So if I block somebody on Birth Without Fear, or Don't Forget Dads, like they don't get to see the posts anymore. They are removed from our space. So that is a safer space for our community to share their photos and their stories and their journey. So I really feel that it's important for us all to do this, not only for ourselves, but for each other. I think it's important that for each other that we do this too, for our society, for our kids, that we show them this example. Our kids aren't on social media. People ask me, well, what about when your kids are on social media? I'm like, well, they probably won't be kids anymore. They'll be adults, because there's no reason for my children or even my teenagers to be on Facebook or be on Instagram. Like what for? What for?
Yeah.
When they're older and they want to be sharing whatever they're doing, then they might. That's up to them. But there's no reason they need to be on it. I don't even understand why that's a question.
No, our kids are not on Facebook. They're not on Twitter. They're on Instagram. No social media. No. And we actually don't have cable.
Yeah.
We have Netflix and Amazon, so I
think that's about everybody these days.
Yeah, but
they don't need to be on it, and
yeah, they're exposed to enough.
If they are, there's no such thing as being overprotective these days.
No, there is not. Absolutely not.
No, if somebody tells you you're being overprotective, I don't know how you would not laugh in their face. There is no such thing as being overprotective these days. No. We do not live in that kind of a world anymore. And if, our 14-year-old, she's an animal advocate, and if she wants to look up stuff, like I let her, look up stuff, and, we keep open communication about, the devices are in public rooms in our home, and, what they're looking at, what they're watching, and just to be mindful and why they should be mindful. If you're having the conversation, then they're not going to be as curious because, they know you're talking to them, you're letting them know what's going on. But you guys, adulting should be fun, and
should be.
I know many of you listening, especially after this podcast about self-care and social media, it's like, oh my gosh, but adulting should be fun. Like read more books instead of Facebook debates, have coffee at midnight, say yes more, change your job when it's no longer, you're no longer thriving if you can. Try something new without anyone's permission. Isn't that something you wanted to do as a kid? I just wanted to eat a bag of chips without asking my parents if I could have the bag of chips. Like you're an adult now. You're allowed to do that. Watch a new show, read a new book, paint your nails whatever color you want to, just just do you, because everything I see about adulting is so negative, and I'm over here like, this should be fun. Like, I waited my whole childhood to be an adult and do things my way. So do things your way and protect your space and be mindful with your space and what you do.
When I was growing up, whenever I'd see my dad doing stuff, I had this impression in my mind that when you become an adult, you just automatically start liking boring things and you do boring stuff. And you listen to boring music and watch boring shows, because that's kind of what my dad did. He listened to like easy listening stations and do the crossword puzzle in the newspaper, and it's just all this like dumb, boring stuff. And he didn't. And I'm not knocking my dad. I love my dad, and we had a good relationship when he was alive. But I
found it.
I would ask him to like draw with me, or play Nintendo games with me, or watch the shows I liked, and he didn't. And so for me, it's really interesting, because when I was a kid, I didn't think I would be watching shows like Voltron or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Transformers or, Full House. Everyone watched that when we were kids. I didn't think I'd watch these shows and it would even be a topic of conversation with my kids one day. It wasn't even in my realm of thought.
Right.
And before we came upstairs to record this podcast, the kids are watching Fuller House.
I love it.
And so it's like all the characters we watch as kids, they're all adults now. Mm-hmm. And all the kids love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the new show. I've watched most of the episodes with them. The Voltron show on Netflix is amazing. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just all this stuff I liked as a kid. My kids like now, and that's actually really exciting to me, because it's like I get to be a kid all over again, but as an adult, and that's actually pretty badass.
And none of you have to be on social media to enjoy that.
No, and another thing too, our kids are all like right now they are all obsessed with the Metroid games.
They are.
And Nintendo.
They are.
If anyone had the old Nintendo when you're growing up, the original Metroid game was actually really crappy. Mm-hmm. But all the rest of them after that are pretty good. And all our kids are into that right now. And that just blows me away, because holy smokes, that was stuff that I played when I was a kid. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it is.
I am enjoying that aspect of parenthood quite a bit.
Yeah, it has been fun. It's really fun to see things kind of come back around full circle like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think that's cool. Well, for those of you who are still listening to this episode, I just want to let you know that I'm proud of you. Life and parenthood and work and relationships, working to be mentally and physically healthy, learning and growing, messing up, doing better, breaking cycles, staying sober, healing, whatever it is that you're dealing with or facing, this shit is hard. And sometimes just getting up to make coffee and facing another day, and usually a day of shit if you have kids, because it always comes back to poop, right? It can be hard. So I want you to take 5 minutes right now to yourself when you end this. Take just 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes off of social media, and just meditate, get lost in a dream or thought, write a new idea down. Make your tea or coffee, just something, anything for 5 minutes just for you. And then just keep going, you guys. Focus one thing at a time, because you are doing better than you think. I'm proud of you, and you got this, and I love you.
Yes, I agree.
So with that, we're going to leave you until next time. So bye. Take care.
Adios. And sayonara.
Oh, geez.